It's that time. It's Friday night. Time for some straight talk. This is your host, Matt Hasley, coming at you. Special thanks to our sponsors out there, Eat24.com. Have you ate yet? We'll log on to Eat24.com. Download that app for your favorite mobile device. Click, order, and eat. It's like a food truck in your pants. It's that easy. Mikey, welcome to the show. Also, HotSauceVault.com. Check out Louie at HotSauceVault.com. He's got Hottest of the Hot, Wimpy for those Wimpy fans. You name it. He's got gag gifts. He's got it all. Check him out, HotSauceVault.com. A lot of things going on. I'm going to talk about. I haven't been talking politics for a while, but we're going to get into the talking to the mic. Yeah, the mic is right here on the table, so there. But hopefully it's coming across loud enough. He's probably just messing with me. But yeah, the mic's right here. So we're going to talk about the Comey memo and stuff like that. We're also going to talk about a couple of posts I saw and kind of reminded me of some stuff from the past administration. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And we're going to talk about unbelievable what an Iowa State patrolman caught on radar. So, and cops at Dunkin Donuts? No. And some other stuff. We got a bunch of different stuff. But we're going to start out with the Byron Nelson Classic. Go quickly do a rundown of the tour events going on right now. We have AT&T Byron Nelson going on, and Jason Kotrick is in a 3-shot lead. He shot 66-62 for a 5-shot lead over Billy Horschel and Byung-Hun of South Korea and Bud Colley. A lot of American flags on there going on. You got James Hand, Dustin Johnson, world number 1. He's 6 back. Cameron Tringali, 6 under. A lot of them at 6 under. You got Jonathan Vegas. So, yeah, Jordan Spieth missed his second cut in a row. He proceeded to hit 2 out of bounds on 16 and make the dreaded 9. Ouch. Even a little worse than a snowman. Makes the dreaded 9. You just hate to see that come up on your scorecard. That's just a nasty one. Yeah. That kind of ruined your day there. So next week they got the BMW Championship. Hopefully he'll get his game in order for that. But unlike, Jordan Spieth, he was on top of the world 2 years ago and part of last year. And then all of a sudden, it just ever since the Masters, it's just been a little rocky. This year has not been very consistent, as you want to call it. He was putting so well before. We got to talk about a college player, what happened to him while putting. But, bad play happens to all of them. I mean, Ricky Barnes. It's funny. You can go to golfchannel.com, and they have video of Ricky Barnes' tee shot hitting a 7-iron. He flat shanks it, and it has the Pro Tracer, where it follows the ball, and it shows you the line. Well, it is one of those nasty S words they call the shank. Bobby, welcome to the show. So there's an actual comical video out about the Pro Tracer, making fun of it, where a guy, he's supposed to be a pro, he hits his tee shot, and it goes way to the right. Then he gets mad, throws his driver, and it shows the Pro Tracer. Then he throws his pulls off his shoe and throws his shoe, and it shows the Pro Tracer. He throws his hat, and everyone is just like all to the right. So it's just comical. Pretty cool to see him do that. But now it's so common to see. But every once in a while, a tour player hits that dreaded shank or exit stage right, and it shows up. So, yeah, it's a nasty one to see. And it makes the regular players feel good about themselves when they see a tour player do something like that. And it makes especially when Jordan Spieth's making a 9, you got a Masters champion making a 9, that's, it makes you feel good. I distinctly remember, he's not listening in right now, but if he happens to pop in, I won't call him out on the show. But I distinctly remember us giving him a 10 up at Eagle Ridge, the one, I don't know how many balls he lost in the first hole, but he made a putt for birdie on the 9th hole to shoot 51. And he's a good player. It's just one of those days when you name it, everything goes wrong. And everybody has them. Tour players have them. Amateurs have them. Amateurs just have a lot more of them. So I had a guy come into the clubhouse the other day, and he goes, yep, I shot 60 whatever on 1-9, and he goes, that's pretty good for me. And I'm like going, well, I guess everybody has their level of, what's good for them. If I shot 60-something on 9 holes right now, I don't know. I'd probably throw my clubs in the pond and just leave them. Oh well. The Champions Tour is the Regions Tradition, which is in Birmingham, Alabama. Fred Funk has got a one-shot lead over Scott Parrell. Those guys still just tearing it up. 67-65, Fred Funk. Usually most of their events are three-day tournaments. This is a 4-day. Scott McCarron's 3 shots back at 9 under. Jeff Sluman and Kenny Perry, Kevin Sutherland, and Miguel Angel Jimenez are 4 shots back. The guy who amazes me is Miguel Jimenez. He won on the European regular tour last year, and he's right near the lead on almost everything. He played well, I think, in the Masters. I mean, the guy is just, he doesn't age. He just got one of the wildest warm-up routines. Hey, whatever works, that's awesome. I thought was one of the coolest things at the Open Championship a couple years back. They filmed him going to the practice tee after his round with a giant cigar and a bottle of wine. So, hey, whatever works to loosen up the joints and stuff like that. And apparently it works well for him. One of my favorites, Lexi Thompson. She is in the lead in the Kingsmill Championship. She has got a 3-shot lead over Jarina Pillar, who's at 9 under, and Candy Kung, who's at 8, along with Lydia Ko. Lydia Ko hasn't won in a while, so she's right there. Shot 67-67, 4 shots back. You think if you shoot 67, a pair of 67s, you'd be right near the lead, but not when you got Lexi Thompson. So hopefully Lexi can pull it off. She needs to win after the dreaded 4-shot penalty. Which I thought was a bunch of crap, but she already faced death this week when she parachuted with the Navy SEALs for charity. I never thought of jumping out of a plane for any reason other than it crashing, and I had to. So I figured, why jump out of a perfectly good airplane? It's going to land shortly, so I don't know. I guess if I was forced, I'd probably have to be kicked out of the plane. But no, I've talked to people who've tried it, but I'd have to have some big coaching to go along with it. I don't know why. Not a thing for me. Oh, by the way, Rory is going to withdraw from the BMW rib injury. He's going to try to do his rest up for the U.S. Open coming up in Erin Hills, Wisconsin, which is coming up soon. You wouldn't think so with the weather here. Today, I don't even think it got to 50. But certainly didn't feel like it. Rained on, most of the morning, quit around noon. And just 4 days ago, it was almost 90. So it's just been a yo-yo this spring. Tomorrow's supposed to be in the 70s, and I think back in the 60s on Sunday. And it's just like going to go up and down. But we had a college player at one of the tournaments. And this is a kind of a, the average amateur would not understand this or realize this. They wouldn't even think about it. But there was a college player. He was in the middle of a tournament in the NCAAs. Well, he was from Jacksonville University, earning its first NCAA championship berth Wednesday. Was how it happened. The Dolphins, amazing Dolphins, were 6 shots back entering the final day at the Baton Rouge Regional. We're only top 5 teams after 54 holes advanced to nationals. On the 4th hole at LSU's University Club, his 13th of the day, senior David Wicks marked his 3-footer for par and waited for the 2 other players in his group to finish out. He crouched on a steep bank. As he stood up, he reached for his ball in his right front pocket, but he dropped it. Of course, it didn't just fall straight down. No. It kicked off the bank, or the back of his shoe, rolled off the green, around a bulkhead, and after a brief chase, he watched it tumble into the water on the left side of the green. He goes, I looked at my playing partners. They looked at me, and there was that awkward silence where we both knew it would be a penalty. Wick said he was talking, I guess, to the Golf Channel on Wednesday night. He said his coach, Mike Blackburn, just a stroke of bad luck. Here was Wick's predicament. He needed to find the original ball, or he would be assessed a 2-shot penalty for not finishing the hole with the same ball. In contention, both in the team and individual race, Wick said, I was always going to go in. If I hadn't gone in, we'd have lost by a shot. The 9-hour drive back, I would have been thinking about the whole time. He goes, at least I know now. So the Englishman stripped down to his underwear and waded in waist-high water. He said it was warm, nice temperature, had a nice inflatable, and a Diet Coke would have been a lovely afternoon. But digging through the mud, searching for 5 minutes, he found 30 balls, mostly top flights and pinnacles, but not his. That turned his par into a double bogey 6, crucial strokes as Dolphins were fighting for Northwestern for the final spot. But Wicks, ranked 33 in the country, didn't get flustered. He made 5 consecutive pars to finish his round. The Dolphins posted 19 over 883, enough to force a sudden death playoff with Northwestern. It would have been a bigger outcome and a bigger goal than just playing well for myself, he said. So Wicks was just as solid in extra holes as with his pair of 2-putt pars, sending 39th ranked Jacksonville to its first NCAA finals. Oh, and Wicks tied for 7th individually, 2 tops of the team. Says I was determined to redeem myself. So a lot of people don't realize that. If that ball falls into the water like that, you have to go and get that ball and finish out the hole with that ball. Otherwise, it's a 2-shot penalty. A lot of people don't know. And all it is, you dropped it and it rolled into the hazard. I don't like that rule. I think it's, because it's freak accidents that happen like that. I think that should be something that should be modified. The regular tour and stuff like that, especially. Because they've had it to where they toss it to the caddy, to clean the ball, and the caddy drop it, miss it, and it go in the hazard or something like that. I think if it was intentionally done, then I can understand penalizing the player, but on accidental drops like that where it goes in the hazard, as long as they play the same type of ball, I don't think they should be penalized. But there are all kinds of different rules that happen. The rules of golf is small compared to the decisions on the rules of golf. The decision book is 3 times as thick. So it's actual decisions made based on the rules. So it's like scenarios that have happened. And there's always new scenarios happen every year. There's something new that happens where they have to get together. And every 4 years they get together and make rule changes and decisions on the rules of golf, the USGA and the R&A. The biggest one I've never understood with the tour is that they don't allow you to sand seed fill, the divots that are sand seed filled, that they don't count that as grounded repair. Just makes no sense. Tony, welcome to the show. Carl, welcome to the show. And George, welcome to the show. And thanks for the share, Tony. But you look at all the, the tours, they play it as it lies, and it's kind of a weird thing to do. With all the weather we've had this week, we've had, crazy weather. And it was nuts. We had Wednesday night, we had, storms ripping through here, was going north and south of us, and I don't know what it was. Everything just went by and split by us. We're one of the spots in the Mississippi River where it goes east and west, and it actually flows west. So as the Mississippi comes down, a lot of people, they say it doesn't have any effect on it, but it was weird. The storms went right around us. I've seen them split so many times and go right around us if they're coming up from the south. Well, they had tornadoes west of us. They had tornadoes east of us, all around. They had just south of us, southeast of us, tornado Wednesday night, and they had 4 within this area. Kimberly Murray, who is on Night Talk with Joe Rock, she had tornadoes in Oklahoma, and it's very common for them, she says, in that area. But there was a superintendent who went out to rush golfers off the course, and it was in Syracuse, New York. It said Tully golf superintendent knew he had to get golfers off the course immediately as the storm approached. This happened Thursday evening, so he jumped in a car, drove as fast as he could on the course, and beeped his horn. He said he looked up to the sky. It was completely white, said Bill Carl. He was from Hillendale, golf superintendent. He said, I knew I had to get guys off the course quick. He said he got in a convertible, drove on the course where 20 golfers were playing at various holes. Players are not used to seeing a car going 50 miles an hour on the golf course. So he said most of the golfers made it off the course before the rain started. He said, I had to pick up one that was walking. He said the rain came down so hard it was like waterfalls. He said he was on his way, just returned, getting up to it. He saw trees breaking across the street, across from the golf course. He saw power lines burst into flames. He said he saw a big explosion and a huge burst of flames. He said the road in front of the golf course on Route 80 between, they said, Markham Hollow Road and Apulio Road was closed all night and reopened in the morning. Several power lines down. I said, you get that. You have a limited amount of time. I always tell people, you might see, when you see lightning, come off. It isn't worth it. So bring it in. Don't sit there and go out there in the middle of a storm, or you see any kind of lightning or a storm like that. It's not worth it. Bring it in. You're standing there holding a lightning rod up. Said, bring it in. Play on a day that's nicer. Don't be like Caddyshack and, hope that nothing's going to happen. But they had, we had storms at our area. Today we were no carts all day, so that really cuts down on your amount of play. I think we had 3 players all day because it was just too wet. Tomorrow we're supposed to get another 1.5 inches. So that's just too much rain. Too much of a good thing. With the cool weather and everything, the grass is growing like crazy. So we have, let's see what else we got here. This is a story I want to get into. This happened locally. And determines what people think about this one. Yeah, I do the same thing, Tony. He goes, when a tornado happens, or is called for a tornado warning, I walk outside. Scott, welcome to the show. Joe, welcome to the show. Tony, thanks. Yep, welcome to the show. I do the same thing. I walk outside and stand there and stare at the sky. We had a tornado. We hit just in my neighborhood. It was the first time we'd ever had a tornado in the city limits. It happened last October. It took out 38 trees on the golf course. My son and I were standing on the front porch, and it was the wildest thing I've ever seen, where it was like somebody puffed smoke through the trees, and I was like, what the heck? And I turned to him and I go, get in the house. And all of a sudden, poof, the power lines went shooting up right behind I live in a court, and right in the back of the court, the one lady's house, looking back at her house, this blue-green flame goes shooting up in the air, and it blew the transformer right behind her house. So it was the EF. It was an EF1. It was a EF1 tornado, landed on the golf course and went right straight up the one hole and took out trees left and right. It was wild, when just to see how one tree it picked out, one tree it didn't. It was just crazy. And it'd take trees and just twist them like this and then turn them over. And you're just like, holy crap. So, but this is a local story that happened. And I'd like to get people's opinions about this. But this is a lot of people go, hey, somebody breaks into my house or breaks into my car, I'm going to do this and whatever. Well, apparently, this man was shot while burglarizing a truck. He was arrested on, other charges, but he was shot while trying to burglarize this individual's car, or truck, actually. And it said, so the local police here, which is, says, they arrested this man, and he was arrested on multiple charges. He had committed 3 armed robberies, including the robbery of 2 people whom forced at gunpoint to withdraw money from an ATM machine using one of the victim's bank cards. He's charged with a first-degree felony, second-degree kidnapping, and being a felon in possession of a firearm for a robbery of 2 people that occurred on January 14th. He is also charged with first-degree robbery and being a felon in possession of a firearm in each of the 2 other robberies for which he's charged. The first of those on January 28th, and the second one on February 4th. He's also charged with 1 count of trafficking stolen weapons. Nice guy. But he was shot November 1st when he was found burglarizing a man's truck. The man who shot him is charged with attempted murder, willful injury, and going armed with intent. The guy who shot him's case went to trial, and he was sentenced So what happened, the individual went to trial. I'm not going to mention his name. But he's thinking he's defending his property. The individual breaks into his car, or his truck, and he goes out with a shotgun. He said he pled guilty in March to willful injury causing serious injury, a Class C felony. In exchange for his plea, prosecutors on Thursday dismissed charges of attempted murder and going armed with intent. So he's thinking he's out there defending his property, you know. Well, he's actually committing a felony. So he goes out and he shoots. Well, what happened, it says the shooting happened about 3:30 in the morning, 3:32. Police say he was inside his home, was made aware of a person possibly breaking into his vehicle, which was parked in the alley. He armed himself with a shotgun, confronted the person, a man inside his vehicle, according to police. He pointed the gun at the man, who then ran from the vehicle. He fired one round at the man as he was running away and fired a round at an unknown vehicle leaving the area, according to police. Police say the man identified in court was shot in the back and required emergency surgery but survived. He said he was charged with third-degree burglary and aggravated misdemeanor in connection with the case, the guy breaking into his car. So, while the guy was out on bond, he ended up robbing, making two people go to ATMs and robbing different stores at gunpoint. So he's a nice guy. But this guy who shot the guy thinking he's protecting his property, he gets sentenced to 10 years. He gets 10 years in prison for defending his property. So I understand why, and a lot of people would not understand why, but I understand why, because he thinks he's defending his property. Well, what happens is, you might defend your property, but let's say you're inside your home and a person breaks into your home. You have nowhere to retreat to. The guy's coming at you. Once the guy starts to flee, you don't have the threat of violence or threat of death, so you can't shoot him when he's fleeing. When the individual jumped out of his truck and took off because he saw him with the shotgun, he had no threat of violence to him to be able to shoot him. Your best bet, and people don't realize it, is your best bet is to call the police. Let them handle it. Let them get there, because if they do catch him, they're going to pursue him. They're going to do something. They're going to try to catch him. You can't sit there and take this guy and go and shoot at him and expect to sit there and not be charged with something. And that's the everybody goes, oh, the courts go to protect the criminal. Well, in this case, yes, because the person that is defending his property doesn't justify him using deadly force to defend his property. Not in that case. He's already caused the person to flee. It sounds like it's unjust and doesn't seem correct, but I understand. Somebody asked me today, what would you do in that situation? I said, call the police. I said, I'm not going to go out there and confront him because you don't know what situation you're going to run into. Now, if I was a duty police officer, then I would go out there and confront him. But to sit there and myself, call the police. I know tons of them here, and they're great guys, and they'll do a great job. Great gals, too, not just guys. Great people. So you got to do is, protect yourself. You got to think about what would happen if I do react on this, if I do shoot at this guy. You know, they always say, well, if a guy, is breaking into your house and you shoot him and he falls back out the window, pull him back inside, you almost have to just wait till he gets all the way inside. But I hope I never have to put myself in that situation. I hope that, it'd be great that nobody ever had to put themselves in that situation. But I know it's social media, and I know it goes around, immediately, boom, something happens, and it makes the round on social media really fast. And it's sickening, some of the things that people do nowadays. I'm sure they did it before. We just didn't hear about it as much. But you got to really do is think about protecting yourself and how you react to situations. Do you want to spend 10 years in prison because you think that you were rightfully defending your truck? It doesn't sound correct. It sounds wrong, like you should be able to go out there and blast away at the guy. I'm protecting my property, But it's a truck. Yeah. Yeah, right now they had this is a story from a couple days ago, but 6 cars stolen in one night. This is in Rock Island County in Illinois, which is right across the river from us. So the Rock Island County Sheriff's Department said earlier Friday morning there were 6 cars stolen from the one Ebert's Edition neighborhood. The neighborhood sits south of Queen Center off Highway 67. So you think about it. They're targeting different areas. We have had a rash of auto thefts this year. Over 300 in this area. So, and I mean, it's early. It's not even June. So we're not a huge area. I mean, well, you got probably 500,000 people when you count up all the little everything together. So also I'd like to do is they had H.R. 115. It's called the Thin Blue Line Act. This was a vote to pass H.R. 115 in the House. It's a summary. H.R. 115 amends the federal criminal code to include the killing or attempted killing of a local or state law enforcement officer or first responder as an aggravating factor in federal death penalty determinations. The legislation would cover the killing of any law enforcement officer, firefighter, or other first responder, including state and local officials who were murdered on duty because of this performance of their duty or because of their status as a public official. We had 2 here earlier this year. An individual pled guilty to them. Finally, changed his plea. Originally was not guilty. Now he pled guilty. And he's going to end up spending life in prison. So I think they had, when I lived in Texas, they had what they called a Calderon law. And a friend of mine, his name was Roger Calderon, Rogelio Calderon, God rest his soul. A friend of mine, his sister was killed she was a San Antonio police officer, and she was killed pursuing I don't know what the person had done at that time. I just knew that she was chasing him, went down through a creek, and drowned. I don't know if he drowned her or if she drowned on her own, but she died. And because of her chasing him, this individual, and getting either injured or dying in the line of duty because of them having to chase you, that bumps it up to a felony. Could be a misdemeanor from what you're doing, and if they get injured, it bumps it automatically to a felony. And that was called the Calderon law. Well, I've seen one individual that I knew of that it went from, he was DUI, and he went to run past the officer, and the officer, because he was trying to get away, and the officer reached out to grab him, and tackled him, and separated his shoulder. And when he did that, it bumped it up to a felony because he got injured in the process of taking this individual down. So yeah, it's people don't think it makes a difference, but yeah, you'd be better off to follow along and get less charges than to resist. Wait for your day in court. That's what I say. They had earlier I was talking about, they had, let me see if I can find out. Oh, yeah. Cops hanging out at donut shops. Well, you've always heard about that. You always hear about, man, the cops are always hanging out at Dunkin Donuts or, Well, they did it for a good reason here. They were hanging out at a local donut shop here, and they were up on the roof. And it was for a good cause. It was called Cops on a Rooftop. And it was helped to raise money for Special Olympics of Illinois. Last year they raised $672,000 and hope to top that amount this year. The Dunkin Donuts has donated $15,000 to the officers already. Everyone who visits the Cop on a Rooftop makes a donation will receive a free donut. And if you donate $10, you receive a law enforcement torch run travel mug while supplies last, they said. So that's pretty cool. So, and it was raining here today, and they were still up there. So that was cool. So, good cause. Way to go. A lot of people don't see what they do, the good they do. They always want to think that they have nothing, no good qualities, but no. I beg to differ. We also had, we were talking about former FBI Director Comey. Well, I got into a discussion on Facebook, and that's usually where it comes on, and it was some people are so bent out of shape, saying, "Oh, Trump this, Trump that," and both sides are like they're like button heads. They're not gonna. It doesn't matter what what either side says. One says Trump needs to be impeached. The other one says, oh, it's a made-up story, So, but the media has been going crazy about it. And they talked about how some people say, oh, the Obama administration got so much unfair treatment by the news. And I'm like, well, that one I don't believe. The only one that might have treated them unfairly, actual news media, might have been, well, I can name a couple. I'm sorry. I'll take that statement back. Fox News, probably one. Maybe InfoWars, Alex Jones. And, what's his name? He does a show throughout the middle of the day. I'm trying to think. Oh, God, he's been doing it forever. I feel bad because he's Rush Limbaugh. So those three, I'm sure there's a few others. But the main media was very pro President Obama. And right now, Harvard did a study that 98% of the media is against President Trump in his first 100 and some days. Well, they did no special counsels under Obama. You list the administration's scandals supposed scandals that they had going on. One of the biggest ones, Benghazi. They had a lot of house and stuff like that. but they never appointed a special prosecutor. The IRS scandal. The IRS intentionally targeting conservative organizations. Fast and Furious. The legal gun sale to drug dealers, resulting in the death of a Border Patrol agent, Brian Terry. Hillary's emails. Former Secretary of State mishandling of classified information. Bo Bergdahl. Release of 5 Taliban prisoners under suspicious circumstances. Iranian prisoner swap for $400 million cash payment. Hillary pay to play during her tenure at State Department. Veterans Administration long-time waits and poor conditions that resulted in death of countless veterans. Loretta Lynch in her tarmac meeting with Bill Clinton. Wouldn't that fall under kind of what they're talking about, influential stuff like that? The unmasking of private American citizens for political purposes. Solyndra, the funneling of funds by the Obama administration to private companies. Secret Service prostitution scandal during the presidential overseas trips. Hurricane Sandy relief funds that never found their way to New York and New Jersey. And it says Obamacare website that cost over $600 million and didn't even work. You know, and signed up only what? 5 people? 4 people? So that's just a list. And that came off of Hannity.com, but Sean Hannity show. Well, there's also another one, and this was via Kimberly Murray. She, so this was borrowed from Lisa R. Nichols, and it was going through a list, and it was a list of, it says, it says, finally we have our commander-in-chief is doing great things to save this country, yet all the mainstream media wants to talk about impeachment. What a joke. And this is from somebody else. I didn't write this, so. And it talks about when you were quiet and never said anything. It said you said nothing when Obama used drone strikes to execute people abroad. You said nothing about Russia for 50 years until Trump was inaugurated. You said nothing about Hillary's campaign manager brother being paid $175,000 to lift U.S. sanctions on Russia. And it goes down and lists. I mean, it keeps going and going and going. And I was reading all through this stuff, and I was like shocked. There's 40 some different, 41 to be exact. And I was just like going, holy crap! I forgot about some of this stuff. But the biggest one that bothered me was the Benghazi. That one bothers me because I know special forces people that have told me that have been to Tripoli, they've been to Benghazi, and they know how long it takes. And they're shocked that we never, and pissed that we never sent people. So, and everything Trump does, even CNN reports it, 2 scoops of ice cream. I'm like, are you kidding me? We're getting that petty. So, yeah, I was blown away by some of the stuff that's going on. And it's like, I talk to people and they're getting so tired of it. So we're going to get more information. We find out more. Former FBI Director Robert Mueller, he'll be heading up the special counsel. I personally think it's a witch hunt. They're trying to find sling crap until something sticks, and they're looking for reasons. So I forgot to mention there was a local Iowa Highway Patrol apparently was running radar. I don't know about what time it was, but about 3 a.m. or something like that. So he's running radar and clocks somebody at, and this is a trip. This is the one that gets me. Let me see if I can find the article about, I don't see my article. I had to open it up because I had to read it, and it's not highlighted anymore. That's why. Let's see here. But he was clocked, and I can't believe this even is almost legit. But I mean, yeah, I can believe somebody. But he clocked at 144 miles an hour. You know, you think about that. 144 miles an hour going about 3 a.m. down I-80. If somebody would pull out, you almost have no time to react at 144 miles an hour. We were doing 120 at one time, responding to a call, my partner and I. He was driving, and we had a car change lanes in front of us, and we almost hit them at 120. We're going to an officer in trouble call. Officer was down. And, I mean, just to lock up your brakes, and he almost bullet spotted the tires at 120, was an eye-opener, wake up. So, yeah, I don't know what I did with it. I don't know where. I have no idea what I did with that article, but it was, 144 miles an hour. He clocked it, he had a talk with the individual while writing him a ticket for $560, which I'm surprised it's not even more. I'm surprised it's not like, $1,000. Oh, here it is. I found it now. It was, the article was wrote, and it was, this came out on B100 Quad Cities. I think a friend of mine who's a local officer here posted something about it on Facebook, but I like this. It says, and this is the guy's writing. He goes, "Have a lead foot." He goes, he's been pulled over more times than he cares to mention. He goes, 9-year fine, 10-year mine. Well, how about 79 over the speed limit? So the driver in Stockton was pulled over for doing 144 on I-80 about 3 a.m. Iowa State patrol officer had a quarterly conversation with the driver and wrote him a ticket for $560. Imagine what his insurance is going to be then. I'm wondering, you're probably going to lose your license for a certain period of time. I mean, at that 79 miles over the speed limit, it's over double the speed limit. Speed limit is 70 on I-80 there, if I'm not mistaken. So, or actually probably 65, but you know, at that speed, you're that far over the limit. I thought it was an arrestable offense there. So he's probably going to lose his license for a period of time. People think, oh, yeah. Oh, it's okay. Well, I'm not causing any problem. Well, just imagine if somebody was out and happened to pull out onto the the interstate and not realize you're coming and go to pass somebody. If they're doing 65 or whatever and they go to pass somebody and the person's doing 60 and you're coming up at 44 miles an hour, by the time you can react, you're probably up under that semi. So I've seen those accidents before. They're not pretty. I've been first on the scene of fatalities, and they're not a pretty sight. So they had this is kind of a weird story here, but they had a local, well, not local here, but a school. And I'm like, this is a weird story here, but it was raining fish. So, it says school suddenly finds itself covered in dead fish in the middle of the day, and nobody knows why. It says there's a Sacramento. It says something fishy happened this week at Stanford Avenue Elementary School in Oroville. A typical Tuesday turned into a weird just before noon when the campus suddenly covered in dead fish. They were everywhere, all over the playground and drinking fountains, as one custodian discovered, even on the roof. Some officials aren't sure if it was some kind of prank or it rained fish. My first concern was who was on the campus, and we didn't know about, said principal. But the campus soups didn't see any adult. We were covering the whole time. Said the California Department of Fish and Wildlife believes the fish is a kind of carp and is not found in nearby Feather River. As for explanations, it's fun to believe. Fish were in the forecast, but nobody actually saw fish falling out of the sky or could verify that where it came from. Many are wondering if this is even possible. Experts say it is. Thunderstorms and wind spouts can sometimes pick up small amounts of fish from waterway and carry them somewhere else, sometimes far from waterways. Back in 2005, a Folsom couple found several fish on a rooftop and balcony on their 2-story home. That sounds weird. It's raining fish. So, that's just a weird story to hear that. 2020, The Rock, maybe. Apparently, Dwayne Johnson may have just declared himself to run for the 2020 presidential nomination. He has had a little fun on the Tonight Show. So, who knows? He could possibly do it. You never know. And also, I'd never heard of these until just recently, probably within the last month. But you ever heard of these fidget spinners? People sit there and they hold them in their hands. The kids that have, like ADHD, and it gives them something. And they have little ones that also you can push buttons, and it looks like a little, almost like a die. And it's got all these little buttons, and they can just keep pushing them. Well, the little spinners, they have, they're telling everybody to be careful with them because a Texas child ended up in the hospital after swallowing a ball bearing from her mom's fidget spinner. You think about, that ball bearing, you shouldn't be giving it to a kid anyway that can stick it in his mouth, that young. But I didn't see him. They actually banned them from the local school here because they make too much noise. They set them on the table and they spin them. And, you get about 10 kids in school spinning those things. Enough to drive everybody crazy. Well, let you know, I'm about ready to come to the end of my show here. We got coming on in a few minutes. We got Let's Play Gay with Tony Street. He's going to follow my show. I'm going to actually broadcast his show for him. So we're going to cut out a minute early so we can get ready for Tony's show. And we'll be back here shortly. But everybody have a great night, great weekend. If you see something, say something. Most of all, be safe. And we'll see you on Monday night.